3 games in 8 days? No problem. Termite infestation? No worries there. 2-goal deficit? Not an issue. Nothing can stop your New Orleans Jesters right now. And on this episode of the Jesters Court, we'll look back on a wild and successful week at Pan American Stadium. Coach Farrell will break down plays from both the Shreveport and Knoxville games, and a pair of backline stars are the subject of our training tip and joking around. The Jesters Court is swarming into your living room. Next. This is the Buffalo Wild Wings in Metairie, home to the Jesters Court and your soccer watching destination. What better place to watch Saturday's FA Cup final with stadium-inspired menu items like a bacon double cheeseburger and loaded garlic fries. Sounds delicious. And we welcome you inside Buffalo Wild Wings for this edition of the Jesters Court. Paul Bourne along with head coach Kenny Farrell. And coach, a challenging start to the season, not a lot of training, 3 games in 8 days. And boy, you couldn't have asked for a better way to kick the season off.
Yeah, we learned a lot. We set it up that way that there'd be 3 games, 2 of them kind of pre-season. One had a lot on it, the one against Shreveport where it's Louisiana Cup. But getting ready for the first NPSL League game, it was a tough game, and we knew the standards stepped up in that game. And it was tough in that game where we came back from a 2-0 deficit. But it shows character in that game. We got our game together in the first one. Very difficult challenge in the second one. We came through it, 2 clean sheets. I would like to clean it up where we don't give away a couple of goals as we did against Knoxville on Saturday night. That's one thing I want to take a look at. I thought we should have kept a clean sheet in that game. We didn't. We'll look at that going forward.
We're going to start with that Knoxville game as we look at the highlights. And it was challenging for a lot of reasons. There was the challenge of Knoxville. There was the challenge of Mother Nature. But all in all, it ended up with a very good result. The Royal Court got things off on the right foot with a purple haze over the field. But early on, the Jesters were in a haze. In the 13th minute, Knoxville moving in on goal, and the crossing ball hits off Ralph Lee Price and into the net, 1-0 Knoxville. 10 minutes later, Rolando Sanchez with the opportunity, but excellent defense by Knoxville prevents him from getting all of it. Just a minute after that, a shot from distance that Larry Newby makes the save on, but can't control it, and the Force make him pay. Jesters are in a big hole, down 2-0. In the 29th minute, Jordan Kenoshi tries to make something happen, but again, Knoxville prevents the shot from being taken cleanly. 39th minute, New Orleans finally breaks through. Keir Hannity's long ball finds its way to Sanchez, and he hits it one time beautifully, and it's a 1-goal deficit. Czech Youth had to come on in relief, and he makes this nice save in the 40th minute and controls the rebound from his back. It's 2-1 at the half. As the second half gets underway, Pan American Stadium was suddenly under siege by termites. An amazing but also unpleasant scene. The Jesters didn't seem to mind though. 59th minute, Niles Smith with the long ball to Ryan Reed, who uses his body beautifully to shield the defender and bury it in the back of the net, and we're all square. Just 2 minutes later, Sanchez sets up Tony Giudice, and he knocks it in, and the Jesters have a lead. They wouldn't surrender. Sanchez would add a brilliant insurance goal, and Youth held things down in goal as New Orleans wins 4-2.
My guys, feels amazing, and I have no words to describe how to feel. This is my first 2 times scoring, and for me, can't believe it. This is a dream for me come true, you know.
What about the comeback of this team? You guys fall down 2-0, things aren't looking good, and then you guys just turn it on.
Our team will work hard every single game. It doesn't matter if we're winning, we're losing, doesn't matter how it is, we're gonna work hard all the time, especially me. I'm be running all the time, and I just want our team to win.
I really don't know what to say. I would talk to the center backs before the game, and I was like, as soon as you get your head up, I'm gonna make that run between the defenders. Luckily, they listened to me, and I got the first touch on the ball.
What about the comeback that this team made? You fall down 2-0, things really aren't going right, and to fight your way back and win decisive.
Yeah, I think it really came down to the veterans on the team, the guys that have been knocked down before. This isn't the first time that the Jesters had to come back. So whenever we started going down, it took a couple of to talk to the guys like, look, we just put our head down and we work. If we lose, that's fine, but as long as we work, we'll have a fighting chance, and luckily that's what happened today. Hopefully we can get this momentum going. All the guys are hot right now. We're all feeling the energy. Kenny gave some great speeches during the halftime, so if he keeps it up, we keep it up.
Rolando Sanchez was getting a lot of success down the left-hand side. I saw he was one-on-one, and sure enough, he beat him. And I just needed to get in the box. He played a great ball across, went between the two center backs, and I was far post just to tap it in.
And as we look at the final match stats, Coach, you were outshot. You fell behind by 2, and as we see by the fouls, it was a very physical game, yet somehow you pulled this one out. How did the team fight back?
When we started the game, we were a little bit sitting back on our heels. I think we were a little bit shocked that they kept so much possession in the first 20 minutes of the game. And they had a good game plan. We couldn't get our game together. We'd come off 2 very good games, and I think we expected to have more possession. I felt we tried to overplay out of the back. We should have looked forward a little bit earlier. They would come and press us as we were coming out of the defensive third, win it back and go straight in behind us, the space behind the back 4, and cause us problems. And eventually we were facing our own goal when we scored the own goal. And, you know, for the first 20-25 minutes I was worried. But at that point we started to step it up, look a little bit longer, get the ball into their half of the field, and it changed for us, and we took over from there.
Now, earlier in the week, there was the opening leg of the Louisiana Cup against Shreveport, and it, too, was a physical game, but once again, a great result for the Jesters. The Royal Accord on hand, making noise for the home leg of the Louisiana Cup. Early on, Shreveport with a free kick opportunity, but Czech Youth is off his line quickly to eliminate the threat. 13th minute, Jordan Kanoshi times his run beautifully, is around the goalkeeper, but just can't put it in from a tough angle. We remain scoreless. 4 minutes later, Youth is out quickly as Russell Alexander is coming in one-on-one. He makes the save, but also takes a knee above the eye, but has the presence of mind to cover the ball before there was any further danger. However, Youth is opened up and has to leave the game, replaced by Larry Newby. In the 20th minute, Newby with a nice positioning on the rear post to take away any room on this Shreveport opportunity. Just 2 minutes later, Newby's goal kick finds the head of Tony Giudice, who flicks it on, and Kanoshi does the rest, finding the far corner from the top of the box. 1-0 Jesters. Late in the first, Kanoshi looks like he might be free again, but he is ruled offside when Jordan Rice played the ball, and we stay 1-0 at halftime. In the second half, great chance for the Rafters, but Jesus Hernandez shoots the ball over the crossbar. In the 60th minute, off a throw-in, Kanoshi and Giudice with some great give-and-go magic, and Kanoshi makes no mistake, it's 2-0 New Orleans. Meanwhile, the Jesters doing the job on their end to keep the clean sheet alive, and Ralph Lee Price heading away the Rafters free kick. The Jesters win it 2-0.
We've been linking up well for the last 2 games, and in training we've been linking up very well as well. So the more we work at it, the better we'll become, the more goals we get between the both of us.
What about the start to the season and the start of this Louisiana Cup, getting a 2-0 victory?
I mean, it's a great start to the season. Like, we can only push on further from here. The team's gelling together really good, and it's good to get a 2-0 home win to go into the next game with a lead and hopefully push on from there, win the cup.
Like, obviously, me, Niall, we've only just come in, but I think with Ralph and with Jordan and with Ollie that came in for 10-15 minutes today, you saw what could be. We just fitted in straight away. Like, obviously, me and Niall are both English. We're both talkers. So, and Ralph as well. Obviously, he's got great intelligence and great reading of the game. So we just talk each other through the whole game.
Keeping their away goals down made a big difference, made a massive difference, and it makes it a lot easier going out on the road. I just think the defence tonight, they didn't ever look like conceding, and that's probably one of the best things that came out of the game.
Coach, a solid result as we can see, and you really put pressure on Shreveport with this victory before they even get a chance to host the second leg. You've got that 2-0 aggregate lead.
Yeah, it was important for us to win that game. There's 2 teams of this level at the highest level in Louisiana, so they don't play in our division, they play in another division, and so Louisiana Cup was important to us to win it. So we got 2-0 up. They came in very physical side, played very different style of soccer than we do. I think we outplayed them on the night. It was their first defeat. They scored 2 good goals. And we were 2-0 up when they got a player ejected, and a lot of the players didn't understand why I didn't push on, look for the 3rd goal. What more important to us was using, Champions League rules, an away goal to them if we had taken any risk, and then being 2-1 would have been more advantageous to them than us winning 3-0. So what we did was we just sewed it up. We sat behind the ball and played the game out with a tremendous home 2-0 win going away to Shreveport in June.
Yeah, the second leg of that Louisiana Cup is June 7th up in Shreveport. Now we're just getting started on this edition of the Jesters Court. Coming up next, we'll break down a play from each of last week's game, and the Jesters defender Nathan Heath will show you how to best defend against set pieces. That's when the Jesters Court continues. This edition of the Jesters Court is presented by Heineken. Open your world. By Rockin' Bowl. Also by Vincent Guard Service. Experience has no substitute. And by Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
I wasn't born in America, and arriving here wasn't easy for me. They didn't even say my name right. I thought I'd never fit in. But over time, I gained their respect, and that respect turned into admiration. Admiration into love. And the world better be ready, 'cause I'm an American now. My name is soccer.
Big plays, baby, big plays.
Is that Mike?
Yeah, he lost his wall or something. He's on his way.
Classic Mike.
The B-Dubs Fast Break Lunch Menu. Fast, affordable lunches with a side of serious sports action. Dine in or take out. Weekdays from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m.
As we welcome you back to the Jesters Court, we take you back to Friday night at Rockin' Bowl, where the Jesters held their awards celebration. The kids had some fun. Many of your players showed why they are soccer players and not bowlers. And some of your youth players picked up their awards. But what a great night.
No, it's great. So the youth season comes to an end. We've been training hard for the last year. A lot of young players wanting to be Jesters and playing the big team someday. So we bring them all together, volunteers, people that worked really hard to make it happen for us this year. And we ran skill tests at the end of the season, and some of the kids won awards. It's nothing more than fun. They're all skillful players, they're all good players. But the Rockin' Bowl and the College Inn has been superb for us, a great supporter. And we just enjoyed being there. And how much fun can you have there? They're bowling, they're having fun, they're getting on stage, they're getting awards. It was fantastic, and it just builds that bonding between the academy and the big team, because I see no separation between both.
I'm not one to throw stones, but I'm not much of a bowler. But your players, let's just say I saw a lot of gutter balls on Friday night.
Oh, they're terrible.
But the team did squeeze that fun in before 2 key victories, the Louisiana Cup win on Tuesday and the NPS opener on Saturday. And we're going to take a look at a play from each of those. It's our Coaches Breakdown presented by Heineken. And we're going to start with a play from the Shreveport Raptors game. And we talked in the previous weeks about Jordan Kenoshi and how dangerous he is. We see it here leading up to a great goal-scoring opportunity by Zach Kidder.
Yeah, no, he receives the ball on the edge of the box, and one of the jobs of a forward when they've got their back to goal in that area is to keep possession for us so we can bring other players into the game. And even though he's a little bit lucky, I think the defender gets a toe to it. It comes wide to Orlando Sanchez, who looks and sees that there's a blindside run. All defenders looking one way. Zach Kidder gets in at the back post, and he sends a perfect ball to him, which he's been doing since the start of the season. Kidder comes in, but he probably uses the wrong technique, actually. He uses his feet to power. The ball was soft. He needed power with the header. And he, instead of kind of jumping and using his stomach muscles to get the ball down, he kind of jumps with his feet and gets underneath it and knocks it over the bar. Probably should have been a goal, but a learning point for Zach at that point.
And now for our second breakdown. It's from the Knoxville game, and this was the play that really turned things around. You're down 2-0, and Rolando Sanchez gets on the end of one with a beautiful goal set up by something you did strategically.
Yeah, well, look, we were looking to get players in the box. We loved Tony Giudice getting in there, and we looked Rolando, going down the line. And what happened was we were over-possessing in our own side of the field, and it was playing into Knoxville's hands. So I was trying to get the message on the field, say, look a little bit longer, take a risk. It doesn't need to be perfect, but put a ball in there, get our players up the field. And at that point, Keir Hannity received the ball, was back to goal if you see it, but he didn't get pressed too well. He opened up space and he sent a nice little ball in, and the defender makes a terrible attempt to clear it. And who's in there? Rolando Sanchez, one-touch finish. And I'm like, so it gave me the opportunity to reinforce that at half-time. So we score off it, to reinforce that and say, let's do that a little bit more in the second half. Let's play in their half of the field. We don't have to play beautiful soccer all the time. We need to win the game. And the players took it on and went and knocked it out in the second half.
Now, the first 20 minutes, Coach, was a bit of a surprise because the back line had been so solid, but Knoxville found a few holes in the defense, but all year the back line has been awesome, and especially on set pieces, and that's where we go to for this week's training tip presented by Rock and Bowl and Ye Old College Inn. Central defender Nathan Heath shows how to best defend a corner kick.
I'm Nathan Heath. This is my first season with the Jesters, and I'm a centre half, and I'm going to show you how to do a defensive header today. The most common mistake I see is when defenders plant their feet and they get into a wrestling match with the striker. So what you've got to do is you've got to be light on your feet and come in and watch the ball come in, know where your striker is, get your hand out to feel for him. When the ball's in, then you can move your feet backwards or forwards and then go up and win the ball. So as a centre-back, you have a responsibility to mark people, but obviously to make sure everyone else is organised, where your central midfielders are, where your keeper is, where your full-backs are. You want two men on the post genuinely, and there's usually someone in this space, someone, a big guy who's going to win the headers. That could be a centre-half, and then everyone else is marking, apart from a couple of other people that are around this area is only marking. But again, what you want to be doing is when the ball's coming in, you've got to be light on your toes, looking for where the ball is, obviously, and looking for where your man is that you're marking. Light on your feet, so that obviously if it's coming in here, you can clear it with your feet. But if it's over the back of your head, you've got to step back and flick the header on. So when the ball's about to come in, obviously feel for your man, light on your feet, and when it comes in, step into it and win the header. Okay, so obviously a lot of big games come down to a set piece, one goal in like the 85th minute, and that could be the difference between going to extra time or losing the game.
When we return, we will hear from you, the fans, and we will joke around with another member of that Jesters back line, Niall Smith, when we come back here on CST. It's our town and our team. The New Orleans Jesters are back at Pan American Stadium for the 2016 season. Jesters soccer is great and an affordable entertainment, with single game tickets just $10 and $5 for kids ages 6 to 12. Kids under 6 get in free. Also, family packs are available game days for just $25. To get your Jesters tickets, go to nolajesters.com or call 504-312-3979. As we welcome you back to Buffalo Wild Wings, the Girls Academy team's on hand. Coach, always good to have the young ladies as part of this development here in New Orleans.
Well, they're every bit as important as the rest of the academy. We've got the boys off the ground first. The girls are starting to grow now. We don't have the senior team for the girls yet, not for the women, but it's coming. As you know, soccer's growing so quick. But no, we have we're totally invested in the young girls, and they're every bit as important to us as the boys' side is, and they need to understand that we're totally dedicated to them.
Great to have the young ladies with us, and they're going to be part of our next segment here. It's time for you to get interactive with Coach Farrell as we ask the coach questions not only about the Jesters, but world soccer. And let's get our first question from here in the audience.
What's your favorite soccer team?
Okay, so what's my favorite soccer team? Well, I've got three of them. I've got the Republic of Ireland national team, which hopefully goes on to win the Euro Nations Cup this year. I've got Manchester United, that was handed down to me from my father, who, my first, real program I ever saw was Manchester United versus Chelsea at Stamford Bridge a long, long time ago. And then the other one is obviously Shelbourne Football Club, who I played for in the League of Ireland back in the mid-'80s. And so I watched them kind of intensely, so they would be my team. If there was one to pick out of those, it'd have to be Ireland.
Well, that's a good question. It leads us to our first Twitter question. This is from Bren Bowmaster, who wants to know, Coach, who you think, now not going with your heart, who do you think is going to win the FA Cup on Saturday between Manchester United and Crystal Palace?
I think Manchester United are going to win it. I think they've got too many tools, they have too much in their arsenal, and if they're put together right, it's going to be hard to stop them. Now look, if Crystal Palace get the first goal, and I would say they get a goal in the first 10, 12, 15 minutes, it's going to be difficult for United.
All right, time for our second question from the audience.
Do you think the soccer pay gap for men and women is fair? Oh, yeah.
Well, that's an interesting question, Coach, because we've heard some of the speculation about the women's team in the United States going after fairer wages.
No, of course it should be fair, but it should be fair in this respect. It should be fair with a formula that works out how they get equally paid based on what they do for the United States and what the revenue is created. Look at this. The men's team did not make the Olympics. The women's team made the Olympics. I mean, they were stacking out stadiums. So if you have a formula that works for both sides, based on the investment that the players make and stuff like that, it should work out the same that way. I don't understand why it doesn't.
Another question from Twitter. This is from Uncle Joey14, who wants to know whether the 12th man termites were the craziest wildlife you've ever seen at a soccer game.
Well, let me clarify this. The 12th man is the fans,
right,
and the Royal Court and the Academy. The 13th man, I think I'd like to call him the 13th man. Nah, I'm not so sure. Maybe we're used to it because there's always one game a year where they show up just with their Jesters scarves on, the termites. They give us a little handout.
It still was one of the craziest things I've ever seen at a live sporting event in my 23 years in the business. Let's get another question from the audience.
Do you think termites were the Jesters' secret weapon? And how grossed out do you think Knoxville was at the Saturday game?
Well, that's a good follow-up to the Twitter question, Coach. I know I was grossed out. I had bugs in my shirt, in my ears, in my eyes. Was Knoxville grossed out?
I'm sure they were grossed out. For me, to be honest, like they're flying around, I don't even care. I'm just looking at the game and I'm so intense on that. It doesn't matter. They might have been grossed out. They might have swallowed a few of them, but hey, the termites got to live as well. So if they were, they weren't. I was just worried about the result. I just hope that the fans know that we usually get one game a year that happens, and you got to live through it for about 20, 25 minutes. But I wouldn't give the result to them based on the termites.
Well, I'll tell you one thing that seemed to help out during the game, and that leads to another one of our Twitter questions, is the Royal Court with the smoke seemed to provide a layer that the termites went away, and it created this awesome purple haze. And the 31 wants to know why you don't play Purple Haze at the games.
Well, I have no control over the music. You can make requests on Twitter, Facebook, whatever, and we'll hopefully have, those songs played for you.
We've got one more question from our audience members, and let's hear what they got.
When is there going to be a women's pro Jesters soccer team in New Orleans?
Good question. It's part of the plans going forward. There's no question we've got to do everything equally. And it's part of the developmental plan that they can come and play at this level. I hope with the young Jesters coming through right now that by the time they hit the age to play in that league, that we will have that team on the field. We're definitely dedicated to that. We want to make that happen. And a good question.
Well, we know soccer has never been bigger in America, and women's soccer has never been bigger in America and in the world for that matter. Now, when we return to the Jesters Court, we will get to know a little more about Niall Smith, and we will look ahead to the week for your Jesters. That's coming up on the Jesters Court.
I wasn't born in America, and arriving here wasn't easy for me. They didn't even say my name right. I thought I'd never fit in. But over time, I gained their respect, and that respect turned into admiration. Admiration into love. And the world better be ready. 'Cause I'm an American now. My name is soccer.
So the Jesters are on top of the Southeast Conference standings, and we hope they're there all season long. Well, it's time to have a little fun now as we get to know the self-proclaimed British Bulldog. We're joking around with defender Niall Smith.
I'm Niall Smith. I'm from Sheffield, England. It's my first years with the Jesters, and I'm a defender. My favourite food has to be the full English breakfast. That is the bacon, eggs, beans, sausages, like toast, hash browns, everything. My favourite movie is the Rocky collection. I love Sylvester Stallone. I just love the the underdog sort of status, and he never gives up. My favourite musical or artist sort of thing, I'd have to say the Arctic Monkeys, because they're my local band and they're known worldwide, and I went to school, like the same school as them. If I wasn't a soccer player, I'd like to say that I'd be a DJ. I like all the DJ music, like all the house music. I like that sort of vibe, like the festival sort of vibes and stuff, so yeah. Celebrity crush. My celebrity crush is a girl from back home. She's an actress from back home. It's Michelle Keegan. Honestly, brown hair. She's got everything, mate. It's funny as well. My favourite city that I like to visit has to be London. London is crazy. Like the amount of people that you meet and the amount of nights out that you go into, like it's really fun, really fun. The most embarrassing moment of my soccer career was when we was in the FA Youth Cup back home in Sheffield. And I ended up getting a red card in the first 4 minutes of the game, and everyone was watching the game as well. So it was that was the harshest moment. My soccer player that is my idol would have to be either Ryan Giggs or David Beckham. More Ryan Giggs, just because he's a left-footed player like me. I used to play wing, and that's the player that I used to look up to. My favourite TV show, I'd have to say, is Family Guy. It has to be Family Guy. The special skills that I have off the field are more likely, like I'm a funny guy, so I like to make people laugh.
We also heard from Niall after that Shreveport game. What an addition to the team he has been for you.
No, he's a good leader. He brings the right approach to the game. He's obviously got the talent, and he wants to win. And we want, to transcend those thoughts through the rest of our team. And if you saw certainly on against the Knoxville game when things were tough for us, he just took it upon himself to go win tackles he shouldn't have been winning and setting the tone and changing the memento. That's why they call him Bulldog. He wanted to get it done.
Niall and the rest of the guys set to go on the first road trip of the season. It's the week ahead, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings. Coach, 2 games in 3 days in Tennessee. What will we find out about your team on this trip?
Well, it'll be the first time on the road together as a group. We'll leave the day before, and we'll have a little training session up there. It's how they handle themselves on the road. I mean, these guys want to be top-level professionals, so that's important that they have this experience and that they handle it well. There'll be a lot of guidance. Hopefully, the older players and the ones that have been around will show a lot of leadership. At the end of the day, you don't change any of the characteristics, any of the determination, and you don't change anything. You get on with the job the way it's got to be done.
And we will have highlights and reaction of both of those games next week on the Jesters Court. It is here on CST and will air at these times. And remember, all shows will be on my YouTube page starting on Thursday. So the Jesters are on their way to Tennessee for 2 more NPSL games. We will have highlights and reaction right here on the Jesters Court next week. For Coach Kenny Farrell, Paul Boron saying thanks you so much for joining us for this edition of the Jesters Court.